Hello. Today I'd like to show you how to work two new cables, a right-leaning slip purl cross and a left-leaning purl slip cross. I have used these cables in a couple of different places in my Bombini Cardigan pattern, and I'd like to show you how to use them in both of the instances. So the first thing to be aware of is that in this pattern, I have worked these cables in the color B rows. So I've already done a color A pass of my right side row, and I'm now going to do my second pass of my right side row, and that is where I will work these cables. So let's work over to where I have my cables. And the first thing I have used these cables for is to rearrange my stitches as I'm transitioning between double brioche and single brioche. So you can see on the first pass of this row, I did a right-leaning double brioche cable. So I'm going to slip 2 yarn over for those 2 stitches. So now I'm going to brioche purl into the first of the 2 green stitches that are in the middle of my cable from the previous pass, and I'm going to drop that stitch off the needle. Now normally I would be very careful to keep this yarn over that's paired with those 2 stitches on the needle in order to work it with both of the purled stitches. For this technique, I actually want to let it fall. Whether you let it fall in front or behind the next stitch, it's not super important, but for aesthetic reasons, I like to let it fall in front. So I'm going to slip that stitch off the needle onto my right hand needle, drop that yarn over, and just put that back. If you let it fall behind, the only visible difference would be on the wrong side of your fabric, and since I'm working this for a cardigan, you wouldn't see it. But I'm a little nitpicky, so sometimes I like to do it this way. So now is the actual cable we're going to work, and I want to switch the positions of this purl and this knit stitch. So you can use a stitch marker as your cable needle to hold this purl stitch to the back, and we are going to slip 1 yarn over. Now we're going to return this stitch to the left needle and purl into that stitch, and then slip 1 yarn over again. So you can see I have now switched from double brioche into having into single brioche. So I have 1 purled green stitch, a slip 1 yarn over, 1 purled green stitch, and a slip 1 yarn over. So that was my right leaning slip purl cable, because I slipped the first stitch and purled the second stitch. So let's get ready to do this again on the other side. So I'm going to brioche purl and brioche purl. Now I'm going to do my left leaning purl slip cable. So I'm going to slip 1 yarn over to set up to be in the right place for that. And now I'm going to slip the first stitch here onto my stitch marker and hold it to the front. And now I am going to purl into the next stitch. And in order to mirror what I did on the other side, I'm actually going to not purl into the shawl over this stitch. I'm going to leave that connected to the stitch next to it. So I'm going to purl into this stitch, return that stitch to the left needle, and slip one yarn over, and then I'm going to brioche purl that stitch together with its yarn over. So, oops. So once again, I have switched from double brioche to single brioche with a slip one yarn over, brioche purl, slip one yarn over, brioche purl. So now let's show the other instance, and that is a left leaning cable that we just did there. So I'm going to now show the other instance. So slip two yarn over, brioche purl, and brioche purl, or a burp two. And now the other place where I used this was shifting my stitches into a double brioche configuration after I have done an increase. So I'm going to slip one yarn over for my first stitch, and now I want the purl stitch of this increase to be switched in position with that knit stitch. So you can use a marker to hold that stitch to the back, or I personally prefer, for just such a small switch, to cable without a cable needle. So I'll hold this stitch against my right hand needle while inserting my needle tip into the second stitch, pop them both off the needle, and then put my left needle tip back into that left hand stitch. And so now my yarn over is spanning both of these two stitches, and I'm going to purl into that next stitch. So that was a right leaning slip purl cable cross. So I'm now going to work a left leaning purl slip cable cross. So I'm going to work it without a cable needle again. So I need this stitch to go in front and this middle stitch to go behind it. So I'm going to insert my needle into that second stitch, pop that off the needle, and put my needle tip back into that first stitch, and return what was the middle stitch now to the left needle. And I'm going to purl into that stitch, and now I'm going to slip one yarn over, slip the next stitch, and use the same yarn over both of those stitches. Now I can finish out the row with 2 brioche purls and a slip 2 yarn over, and I will slip my selvage stitch. So you can see here I used those 2 cables to switch my increase into a double brioche organization. So it's here getting me from just a whole bunch of pink stitches into double brioche, and in my double brioche cables, I used it to switch from double brioche into single brioche. So just a great way to swap 2 stitches around to get your stitches clustered and organized in the way that is best for your pattern. I hope this helps you understand how to work some of the mechanics in this new design, and thank you for watching.